Hi, my name is Julia Kershaw, and I did my presentation on the multi-state outbreak of salmonella infections linked to pot pies. Salmonella is a bacteria that causes illness and in severe cases may lead to death if it goes untreated. In 2007, an outbreak occurred in the U.S. where at least 272 people were diagnosed with salmonella poisoning in 35 states. The CDC reported that the onset of the illness occurred between January 1st to October 29th of 2007. Those affected ranged from people less than 1 to 89 years old. 51% of those diagnosed were female. From this outbreak, at least 65 people were hospitalized, but luckily no deaths were reported. Further investigation showed that banquet brand pot pies produced by Conagra Foods Company were associated with the illness. Despite that finding, there were 3 incidences where the patient's pot pies did not fit the outbreak pattern. As of October 29, 2007, the CDC determined that the outbreak was over. Therefore, there does not seem to be any harm in the current situation, but I analyzed the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to the outbreak from 2007. From a strength standpoint, the CDC, FDA, and public health officials worked together to find the source of infection by interviewing all ill and many well persons to find a link. They also did this through conducting a case-controlled study. The weakness, in my opinion, was that they could have been quicker in recognizing the outbreak, as it was defined on August 1st of 2007, but the first illness appeared in January of that same year. The opportunities of the recall is that the stores and companies who sold the product were explicitly named in the recall. This helps to avoid any confusion from consumers, and therefore lowering the chances of further outbreak. The threats, on the other hand, are that we are still unaware of how products got contaminated and how many are contaminated, so it might not help to prevent this from occurring in the future. After the investigation and the case-controlled study, the CDC identified the cause of the infection. This is the banquet brand pot pies produced by the Conagra Foods Company. The one issue of that determination is that there were 3 patients' pot pies who did not follow the outbreak pattern, which raises concern as to how and why these individuals got infected. Another issue may be that some consumers may have the pot pies in their homes and are unaware of the warning made by the CDC, so they may continue to eat the food anyway. This is why we must prioritize the recall notice to consumers and make them aware of the possible contaminated products. 3 alternative approaches to making sure that the outbreak does not continue to spread is to 1. Ensure that the recall notice gets spread nationwide. In order to do this, you can show commercial, set up notices in grocery stores, or even make a notice on the radio. My second alternative would be to ensure that the companies and stores themselves that sell the products recall them sooner than later. And third is to be clear and concise about the possible harm and which specific product should be thrown out or returned. I included the health belief model because it relates to how many people may react to the recall. If they perceive the product of having serious consequences and that they may be in possession of a contaminated pot pie, then they were aware of the consequences and take action to discard of them, even if they will not receive a refund. Therefore, the risks outweigh the benefits. One recommendation I have is to require companies and stores who sold products to recall them as soon as possible. My second recommendation includes advising consumers who purchased and ate a banquet pot pie to look for the signs and symptoms of salmonella and go to see a doctor, if any should arise. My last recommendation is to require Conagra to spread the message of the contaminated products as effectively and as soon as they can. My action plan includes forcing Conagra Foods Company to cooperate with the efforts to recall all possible contaminated pot pies. They should be required to pay back any and all consumers who request for a refund of their purchase. There should also be no further incidences by the end of 2007, since the recall occurred on October 11th. In order to inform all consumers, it is important for Conagra to make public service announcements nationwide. By January 1st, 2008, there should not have been another report of salmonella from Conagra pot pies. In my opinion, I believe it is important to always stay on alert for newly recalled products and foods. My prior belief was that salmonella was contracted mainly through raw and undercooked meats and eggs. I did not consider the possibilities of getting it through other means like pot pies. I am now aware that salmonella poisoning may occur from any product, so the most important preventative measure is to remain informed. Thank you.